Young and the Restless Scoop. July 2. Nikki wakes up as Matt reveals he's Victor's secret spy. The morning sun filtered through the hospital blinds, casting long streaks of light across the room where Nikki Newman finally opened her eyes. The steady beep of the heart monitor was the first sound she recognized, followed by the worried voices of her loved ones gathered nearby. For a brief moment, everything was quiet. Then relief swept through the room. Victor Newman, who had barely left Nikki's bedside since her emergency surgery, leaned forward with emotion written all over his face. Nikki blinked slowly before offering the faintest smile. "Victor," she whispered. The powerful businessman, rarely shaken by anything, gently squeezed her hand. "You scared us," he admitted, "but you're going to be all right." Across the room, Victoria, Nick, Claire, and Jack Abbott exchanged grateful glances. After days of uncertainty, Nikki's recovery finally seemed to be heading in the right direction. Yet while hope returned to the hospital, another dangerous game was unfolding elsewhere in Genoa City. Miles away, Kane Ashby sat alone in his luxurious office, staring at a collection of files spread across his desk. Every document pointed toward one conclusion. Someone inside his organization had been feeding information directly to Victor Newman. For weeks, Kane had suspected a leak. Business negotiations had collapsed before they even began. Private conversations somehow found their way into Victor's hands. Confidential strategies were becoming public knowledge. Someone was betraying him. He simply didn't know who. As the office door opened, Matt stepped inside wearing his usual calm expression. "You wanted to see me." Kane slowly nodded. "I need answers." Matt remained silent. "I know there's a spy." Still nothing. "I've narrowed the list down," Kane continued. "Tell me why I shouldn't suspect you." Matt took a deep breath. For several long seconds, neither man spoke. Finally, Matt looked Kane directly in the eyes. "You shouldn't suspect me," he said quietly. Kane relaxed slightly. Then Matt added the words that changed everything. "Because you don't have to suspect me anymore." Kane frowned. "What does that mean?" Matt's expression never changed. "I'm Victor Newman's spy." The confession landed like an explosion. For several moments, Kane couldn't even respond. He had imagined many possibilities. He expected excuses, denials, maybe even lies. Instead, Matt had calmly admitted the truth. "You've been working for Victor this entire time." Matt nodded. "Yes." "Why?" "Because Victor asked me to." Kane laughed bitterly. "So that's it, you sold me out for him." "It wasn't that simple." "Then explain it." Matt folded his hands together before speaking. "When Victor approached me, he didn't ask me to destroy you." Kane's eyes narrowed. "He wanted information." "What kind of information?" "The kind that would tell him whether you were becoming a threat." Silence filled the office once again. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Nikki's recovery continued to bring hope to everyone around her. The doctors explained that the surgery had gone well, but the next several days would remain critical. Nikki needed rest, patience, and support from her family. Victoria couldn't stop smiling. "You gave us quite a scare." Nick chuckled softly. "Mom has always been tougher than anyone gives her credit for." Even Jack felt the tension beginning to lift. For once, the Abbott and Newman families weren't fighting. They were simply grateful. Claire quietly stepped closer to Nikki's bed. "We're all here." Nikki smiled warmly. "I know." But despite the peaceful moment, Victor's thoughts weren't entirely focused on the hospital. His phone buzzed. One message. 3 words. "He knows everything." Victor immediately recognized the sender. Matt, his secret operative. Victor slowly slipped the phone back into his pocket. The game had changed. Back in Kane's office, emotions reached a boiling point. You've been reporting every move I made. Matt nodded. Yes. And Victor knows everything. Almost everything. Kane slammed both hands onto the desk. I trusted you. I know. I gave you opportunities. I know. I defended you. Matt lowered his eyes. I know. Kane turned away, trying to control his anger. So what happens now? Matt didn't hesitate. That's your decision. My decision. You can fire me. You can expose me. You can call Victor. You can do whatever you think is necessary. Kane slowly looked back. But before you decide, you deserve the whole truth. Matt revealed that his loyalty had become increasingly divided over the past few months. Initially, working for Victor had seemed straightforward. Observe. Report. Protect Newman's interests. Nothing more. But after spending time alongside Kane, Matt had begun seeing a different side of the businessman. He wasn't perfect. He made mistakes. Yet he genuinely wanted to rebuild his future. That complicated everything. I stopped sending certain reports. Kane looked surprised. What? I didn't tell Victor everything. You expect me to believe that? It's true. Matt admitted that he had withheld several important developments because he no longer believed every decision Kane made posed a threat. His conscience had started interfering with his assignment. At Newman Enterprises, Victor finally arrived after leaving the hospital. Michael Baldwin noticed the serious look on Victor's face immediately. Something happened. Victor nodded. Our cover is gone. Michael understood instantly. Matt. He confessed. Michael sighed. I was afraid this day would come. Victor walked toward the window, overlooking Genoa City. Now Kane knows exactly where the attacks came from. What's your next move? Victor smiled slightly. I don't react. I prepare. Elsewhere, Kane sat alone after Matt left the office. The betrayal hurt more than he wanted to admit. Still, one question continued to bother him. Why confess now? Matt could have continued spying indefinitely. Instead, he chose honesty. That meant something bigger was happening behind the scenes. Kane stared at Victor's name, written across one of the files, before quietly saying, This isn't over. As evening settled over Genoa City, Nikki rested peacefully while her family watched over her, grateful that the worst appeared to be behind them. Across town, Victor began planning his next strategic move, fully aware that Matt's confession had shifted the balance of power. Kane, now armed with the truth, faced a difficult choice: seek revenge against the man who betrayed him, or use the revelation to outmaneuver Victor in the battle ahead. With Nikki's miraculous awakening, bringing hope, and Matt's shocking admission igniting a fresh corporate war. The stage is set for explosive confrontations, unexpected alliances, and even deeper betrayals. In Genoa City, today's victory can become tomorrow's downfall, and every secret revealed only paves the way for an even more dangerous game. Young and the Restless Scoop, July 2, next part. Victor makes his move as Kane offers Matt one final chance. The silence in Kane Ashby's office felt heavier than ever after Matt walked out. The confession echoed in Kane's mind like a broken record. I'm Victor's spy. Any other executive would have called security, demanded an arrest, or publicly exposed the betrayal. But Kane wasn't ready to act on emotion alone. He knew Victor Newman too well. If Matt had admitted the truth so willingly, there had to be another layer to the story. Kane picked up his phone. Matt, he said when the call connected, come back, we're not finished. Minutes later, Matt returned, expecting to be fired. Instead, Kane surprised him. I'm giving you one chance, Kane said calmly. Matt looked stunned. One chance to prove that you're no longer working against me. You still trust me? No, Kane replied honestly. Trust has to be earned again, But if Victor believes you're still on his side, we may have an advantage. Matt immediately understood. You want me to become a double agent? Kane nodded. If Victor thinks you're feeding him reliable information, we can control what he learns. Matt hesitated. Playing both sides was more dangerous than anything he'd done before. If Victor discovers the truth, he'll destroy both of us, Kane finished. Despite the risk, Matt agreed. I'm in. Across town, Victor Newman arrived at the ranch after another visit to Nikki's hospital room. Although relieved that his wife was recovering, he couldn't ignore the growing threat posed by Kane. Michael Baldwin was already waiting. Any word from Matt? Michael asked. Victor checked his phone. Nothing. Michael frowned. That's unusual. Victor's instincts told him something had changed. Matt never misses a scheduled report. For the first time in weeks, Victor began to wonder whether his trusted insider had switched sides. At the hospital, Nikki continued to regain her strength. Victoria smiled as the doctors shared encouraging news. Her condition is improving faster than expected, one physician explained. Nick let out a sigh of relief. I knew Mom would fight. Jack Abbott quietly stood near the doorway, grateful that Nikki had survived such a frightening ordeal. The recent crisis had reminded everyone how fragile life could be, even for the most powerful families in Genoa City. When the room finally emptied, Nikki asked Victor to stay behind. There's something bothering you, she said softly. Victor tried to brush it off. It's business. Nikki shook her head. It's never just business with you. Victor smiled faintly. After decades together, Nikki could still read him better than anyone else. I may have underestimated Kane, Victor admitted. Meanwhile, Kane and Matt began preparing their plan. The first false report would be simple enough to believe. Matt would tell Victor that Kane intended to sell one of his overseas investments to cover financial losses. In reality, the company wasn't for sale at all. If Victor reacts, Kane explained, we'll know he's still relying on you. Matt nodded. And if he doesn't, then he's already stopped trusting you. Either outcome would reveal valuable information. The following morning, Matt met Victor at a quiet cafe. Victor wasted no time. You've been difficult to reach. I've been earning Kane's confidence, Matt replied. Victor studied him carefully. What have you learned? Matt delivered the fabricated story exactly as rehearsed. Kane is preparing to sell his international division. Victor's eyes narrowed. Are you certain? Absolutely. Victor thanked him and left without another word. But as he climbed into his car, he didn't call Michael. He called someone else. Verify everything Matt just told me. Victor wasn't ready to act until the information had been independently confirmed. His instincts were warning him that the game had changed. Later that afternoon, Kane received an unexpected visitor. Lily Winters. She could tell immediately that something serious had happened. You look exhausted. It's been a long day. Lily folded her arms. Does this have anything to do with Victor? Kane hesitated before answering. More than you know. Although he didn't reveal Matt's secret, Kane admitted that Victor had been one step ahead for months. Lily's expression hardened. Then it's time someone put Victor on the defensive. Kane smiled for the first time all day. That's exactly what I'm planning. As evening fell over Genoa City, Victor received the results of his independent investigation. The report was brief. Kane's international division was not for sale. Victor stared at the message for several seconds. Then he slowly smiled. So that's your game. Matt had lied. Whether by choice or under pressure, Victor now knew his trusted spy could no longer be relied upon without question. Instead of anger, Victor felt something else. Excitement. The battle had entered a new phase. No more secrets, he muttered. No more middlemen. He picked up his phone and made one final call. Arrange a meeting with Kane, tomorrow. Across town, Kane looked out the window of his office, unaware that Victor had already seen through the deception. The stage was now set for a direct confrontation between two master strategists, with Matt caught squarely in the middle. As Nikki continued her recovery, the corporate war was about to become deeply personal, and the next move could change the balance of power in Genoa City forever. Young and the Restless Scoop, July 2, next part. Victor and Kane face off as Nikki uncovers a dangerous secret. The next morning, the atmosphere at Newman Enterprises was tense. Employees whispered as word spread that Victor Newman had requested a private meeting with Kane Ashby. No one knew the reason, but everyone sensed it would be explosive. Kane arrived precisely on time. Victor was already waiting. The office door closed behind them, leaving the two businessmen alone. For several moments, neither man spoke. Finally, Victor broke the silence. "You've been busy." Kane met his gaze without hesitation. "So have you." Victor placed a folder on the desk. "It seems someone has been feeding me bad information." Kane glanced at the folder, but didn't open it. "You mean your spy?" Victor's expression remained unreadable. "I mean Matt." The room fell silent again. "You knew I would figure it out," Kane said. "I knew eventually," Victor replied. "I just didn't expect it this soon." Kane leaned forward. "Your mistake was believing everyone could be bought." Victor smiled slightly. "My mistake was believing Matt would always choose loyalty over conscience." Meanwhile, at the hospital, Nikki continued to recover. Her doctors were pleased with her progress and hinted that she could be discharged within a few days if everything remained stable. Victoria and Nick couldn't hide their relief. "You'll be home before you know it," Victoria said. Nikki smiled, but her thoughts drifted elsewhere. Before her surgery, she had overheard fragments of a conversation outside her room. At the time, she had been too weak to react, but now the words came back clearly. "Victor can't find out. Kane will never see it coming. The money has already been moved." Those voices didn't belong to Victor or Kane. Someone else was pulling strings behind the scenes. Later that afternoon, Nikki quietly shared what she remembered with Jack Abbott. Jack listened carefully. "Are you certain?" "I may not remember every word," Nikki admitted, "but I know what I heard." Jack frowned. "If you're right, Victor and Kane may be fighting the wrong enemy." The realization sent a chill through both of them. Back at Newman Enterprises, Victor and Kane's meeting reached its turning point. Victor folded his arms. "We can keep attacking each other." "Or," Kane asked. Victor looked directly into his eyes. "Or we can find out who's benefiting from this war." Kane considered the idea. For weeks, someone had manipulated events, leaked information, and fueled distrust. Perhaps Victor wasn't the only person moving pieces across the chessboard. "Suppose I agree," Kane said. Victor nodded. "Then we start by finding out who wanted Matt exposed." Just then, Michael Baldwin rushed into Victor's office without knocking. "You need to see this." He handed Victor a freshly printed financial report. Several $1 million had disappeared from an account linked to one of Kane's business ventures, and the transfer had been routed through a shell company connected to an old rival of both the Newman and Abbott families. Victor's eyes narrowed. So this wasn't just corporate espionage. Michael shook his head. "It's much bigger." Across town, Matt sat alone in his apartment, replaying every decision that had led him here. His phone suddenly buzzed. The message came from an unknown number. "You made the wrong choice. You're next." Matt's heart raced. Before he could react, someone knocked on his front door. He cautiously approached and looked through the peephole. No one was there. When he opened the door, he found only a small envelope lying on the floor. Inside was a single photograph. It showed Matt meeting secretly with Victor weeks earlier. Across the picture, Someone had written 3 chilling words in red ink. "We see everything." Matt immediately realized the danger had escalated. Whoever had been manipulating Victor and Kane had also been watching him all along. As evening settled over Genoa City, Nikki's fragmented memory hinted at a hidden mastermind. Victor and Kane considered an uneasy alliance, and Matt found himself marked by an unseen enemy. The battle was no longer about business or revenge. It had become a fight to uncover the mysterious figure operating from the shadows before another life was destroyed. The next chapter promises shocking revelations, unexpected betrayals, and a threat powerful enough to shake every family in Genoa City.